the occasional offensive jabs on Family Guy.
White is white, black is black. Gotta keep the races completely separate.
And then there's Peter in a wizard's robe.
Well, I am ready for my evening.
Oh my God, Peter, what the hell?
Yeah, the show can really push things at times. So today, we're gonna go over 7 different levels of racist jokes that Family Guy has shown over the years to see just how bad things have gotten. Starting with level 1, we have the episode A Shot in the Dark. This is the sort of level where the characters may be called out on what could be seen as racist, but as you'll soon see, it's actually very questionable.
Hate crime? That's crazy! I love blacks, I love Asians, hell, I even love gay Aborigines.
The phrasing could use some work, but you could almost believe Peter here. Things start with the guys enjoying beers on a couch outside when the couch is unfortunately stolen overnight, giving Peter the idea to start a night watch group with some ulterior motives.
You think you can get us all guns?
They're too dangerous. Besides, you can't just go get a gun. You have to be certified, go through an extensive background screening process.
Got him.
Oh.
Peter with a gun. What could go wrong? Surprisingly, the night watch starts strong, but it does not last long. One night, Peter spots an intruder breaking into Cleveland's home and ends up shooting them, only to find out that it was only Cleveland Jr.
Peter, where are you? Okay, I'm starting a good wife without you.
Unlike you, I just dodged a bullet.
Do you think he would still have said that if he killed him? Luckily, Junior is only injured, but the bond between Peter and Cleveland is instantly severed, especially after Donna accuses Peter of being racist. For once, Peter is genuinely remorseful for his mistake, desperately wanting to apologize and prove himself as not racist, especially when it starts to affect the rest of his family. What's Peter's plan?
What are you doing?
To show I'm in touch with what it's like to be African American, I am gonna go to the middle of the town square and paint myself brown.
I mean, his intentions were good. This leads to Lois doing what she should have done 14 seasons ago, and something a lot of Family Guy fans have been begging for. Beat the absolute hell out of Peter. It's just beautiful. Peter heads to Cleveland to apologize with an offering of booze and cigars. I wonder where this is going. But Cleveland turns him down, refusing to accept Peter despite his prior years of friendship. This causes Peter to accidentally light Cleveland's front yard and house on fire, gaining the attention of onlookers and further ruining his reputation. Crowds form around the Griffin household as the cops show up to arrest Peter.
And the boys upstairs said they can no longer ignore it.
Boys upstairs?
I have no idea. There's no elevator.
Even in a topical episode, they still have time to make fun of everyone, even the disabled. Surprisingly, Carter comes to the rescue and plans to get Peter's charges dropped. Not out of the goodness of his heart, though. How out of character would that be?
We're gonna get you out of this. I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit back and let them do this to one of my own. Your family? Huh?
There are ways to say you're racist without having to directly say it, and Carter just showed that to a T. During the court case, Junior's pleas are heard but quickly discarded when Carter's manipulative lawyer coerces the jury with false accusations of stereotyping Junior.
Mr. Brown, please pick up this knife. Ah! He's got a knife!
Someone called Daredevil because this court is blind. I don't know why you would call Daredevil in that. I mean, I know he's blind, but why would you call him if the court's blind? I'm gonna keep going. Peter gets off scot-free, and of course, Cleveland now straight up despises him. With the town's views of the family flipped, Peter finally makes a stand and takes full responsibility, accepting his fate in prison, but for some reason, that single act changes Cleveland's mind again, and he jumps in to defend Peter.
Wait a minute. Peter didn't shoot my son. I did.
Believe it or not, this changing of the blame completely mends the entire situation. And why?
Where did everybody go?
Want to make the media go away? Just mention black-on-black crime.
Ah, of course. But okay, look, that was only level 1. Now things are gonna get pretty crazy in the episode Road to India. This episode reaches level 2, where there ain't too much questioning about it. It's kinda racist. You'll catch a side eye or two for sure. Being a Road to episode, we focus on Stewie and Brian, who are having computer issues. He calls tech support and meets an Indian lady named Padma. The two quickly grow a strong friendship, Brian feeling especially connected.
That's nice, Brian, but you're from different worlds. She's in India. That's a lot to overcome.
Overcome? Might need a better choice of word there, pal. Several calls later, Brian decides to make his way to India to find his true love, and of course, Stewie tags along. Everyone needs a comic relief character on their travels. The duo swiftly arrive in India, and even quicker than they arrive, the stereotypes and lack of subtlety appear.
Oh! This is wonderful, isn't it, Brian? It's so tranquil, I'm tearing up. Come on, I think I see a cab with less than 9 people in it.
Why show something positive first when you can instantly turn everyone away? The two then board the train. Again? Really? And end up immediately offending a group of men by insulting their culture. So how do they escape this wacky predicament?
Stewie, what do we do?
Quick, hit the red buttons!
If the bingo Peter plays in the side plot was about how many offensive jokes are made, he'd have won already. Brian and Stewie make it to Padma's work, and through Brian's plan, they actually find her. After making fun of another woman, Padma then takes the two on a tour around her city and invites them to her family's party that night. How convenient.
Oh, an Indian party! Hope they play that one song with the shrieking nasal atonal woman over the bongos and tambourines.
Notice how it's only Stewie making these jokes? I wonder where he gets that from. When the two arrive at the party, they soon discover that it's actually a wedding. Padma's wedding. That was arranged by her father. Luckily for Brian, Padma confesses her love for him in front of everyone, and Brian agrees to pay back her father the money he paid for the wedding in order to marry her himself. How do they make the money?
Stewie, I don't think this is gonna work. We're never gonna raise enough money to pay back Padma's father.
There are 1 billion people here, and almost every one of them has a tapeworm.
More generalization. Horrific. Brian immediately discards Stewie's plan, instead choosing to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I mean, sure, better than literally everything Stewie has said this entire episode. However, it turns out Brian is just as inept as Stewie.
You know, the more I say it, the more it does sound Indian. Jiminy Cricket. Jiminy Cricket. Final answer.
I guess it's true, TV does make you dumber. After making a joke of himself, Brian apologizes to Padma, but thankfully he no longer needs to pay off her father, at the cost of Padma no longer wanting him. The two are just too different, and there they go, off on their separate ways. Bummer of an ending, but at least we have a Bollywood-style credit sequence, because you can't talk about India without Bollywood, ever, ever. Now we reach level 3 with Padre de Familia. This is the point where the episodes have several dicey jokes thrown in. You make any jokes like these on the street, odds are someone's gonna knock a couple teeth out of you.
And if you're not from here, it's gonna hunt you down and give you... It's USA!
See what I mean? We open on Quahog's 35th annual Veterans Day, and immediately we get a taste of what this episode is offering.
First up, a float from the veterans of Future Wars.
30 seconds in, that's gotta be a new record, right? After the parade ends, Peter picks up on a completely moving performance that coerces him to become an American patriot. Of all the people to do it, did it have to be Herbert? While in full American mode, Peter presents his love for the country to his family and continues to appease it, or at least he tries.
That's not true, Brian. I remember 9/11. Must have been a woman pilot, eh?
Racism, sexism, 9/11 joke. Hey, I got a bingo! While enjoying an American beer with his American friends at an American bar, Peter notices 2 immigrants working at the Clam, which makes him even more patriotic. He begins volunteering for Border Patrol, removing all non-American material from the family, and even has someone arrested.
Hey now, why would you do that?
Speedy Gonzalez is an immigrant and a bad influence on our children. Created his American equivalent, Rapid Dave.
Rapid Dave sounds like everyone's 44th favorite superhero. Even at work, Peter puts a complaint forth that the company actually enforces, a check that each employee was born in the US, but this stunt actually sets Peter backwards.
What are you saying?
As far as the U.S. government is concerned, we're an illegal Mexican immigrant.
Holy crap!
At last, some karma. Now jobless, Peter takes a citizenship test with Lois and fails miserably, obviously. Unable to apply for a regular job, Peter goes through several minimum wage jobs, including yet another stereotype.
Housekeeping?
Not now.
Housekeeping?
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping?
No, go away.
I come in anyway.
I said no.
Okay, I clean?
No, get out of here.
I stay and watch?
No.
I get involved?
What?
Finally at his lowest, Lois entrusts the help of her father, who employs Peter to work at his mansion with other immigrants whilst the family stays over. After being constantly belittled and overworked by Carter, Peter bonds with the groundskeeper Geraldo, finally learning to see the error of his ways in celebrating Cinco de Mayo with the other workers. But unfortunately, Peter's old ways come back to bite him in the form of Carter.
Look, I don't care what day it is in Mexico. In America, we work. Do your jobs or I'll deport your lazy asses back to the third world.
So this is the land of the free, huh? With the other workers on his side, Peter brings a riot to Carter's front door, demanding that he and everyone else receive their citizenship. Despite Peter's speech of inspiration and a little racism, Carter refuses. Although Peter is still offended with his own citizenship back, he accepts the deal. Now with a fresh and open mindset, Peter embraces the future.
I'll never forget you, Gerardo. I sure am gonna miss Ronaldo, but I'm glad I'm finally an American. Being an immigrant is a real pain in the ass.
It never lasts. Halfway there, level 4 is the episode Jerome is the New Black. At this point, you're most definitely going to be canceled on Twitter, and you probably won't be able to go outside without seeing an angry mob. It starts with Peter, Joe, and Quagmire watching TV at the Clam, and immediately the unsavory jokes begin.
Dean Martin singing Chinaman's Chants.
And Mr. Chinaman say in his Chinaman way, a-ching-a-chong, a-ching-a-chong-choo.
Couldn't have waited at least a minute, guys. And this section doesn't offend just different races, but the members of the LGBTQ+ community as well. The guys then realize how much they miss miss Cleveland and that they need a fourth guy for the group to replace him while he's away. Don't worry, Peter, his show won't last long. Feeling down on their luck, the guys suddenly realize why they miss Cleveland. Not because he's a great friend or funny or anything like that, but because...
I mean, if you really break it down, what we need is a black guy.
That was the best thing about Cleveland.
Oh, by far.
that right there is the best thing about him. I bet he'd love if you told him that. So after the longest cutaway gag ever, seriously, it's a minute of men coughing, the guys are offered a place in a darts tournament where they find their fourth member, Jerome, and he's good.
Gentlemen, we got us a black man.
Again, is that all he is to you? He's standing right there, man. The four win the tournament off screen, and Jerome gives Peter a ride home. After being invited inside, Lois actually ends up recognizing Jerome, which confuses Peter a bit.
Know each other? Peter, Jerome is an old boyfriend of mine.
Oh, sorry, I was out of it. Wait, are we being robbed?
Wow, even at Stewie's age, his father's side runs through his blood. Although this should be a great reunion and another reason to bond, Peter grows jealous and begins to worry that Jerome has iffy intentions, confronting Lois after shooting Jerome out. But not before another questionable cutaway gag.
Hey there, little fella.
What's that around your neck? Well, I say, it's a little black Jesus.
I rode into town on an ass. Yo mama's ass.
Gotta admit, not a bad jingle. Lois attempts to reaffirm to Peter that she is loyal to him. Sorry, sorry, that caught me off guard. but Peter doesn't listen and plans to cut Jerome out of his life. While Jerome is away at the bar, Peter tries to coerce Joe and Quagmire, but they ignore him, agitating Peter further. He walks home drunk and spots Jerome in his own house watching TV. Infuriated, Peter throws his beer through the window, setting Jerome's house ablaze. Sounds familiar, by the way. And leaving him with nowhere to go, except the Griffin household, because where else do side characters go? Surprisingly, Peter's never found guilty of this. When it's mentioned, all he says is,
This whacked out world makes you want to grab your nephew and get in a van and shoot people in the D.C. area.
really not doing yourself any favors here, bud. Whilst Jerome stays at their house, he constantly outdoes Peter by impressing Lois, even saving her life in a promiscuous way.
Out of the way. I'm an EMT.
Oh, thank you, Jerome.
I'll have what she's having.
If Stewie's into it, you can only imagine how jealous Peter's gotta be. Now at his limit and his filter broken, Peter pulls his worst stunt yet.
And this is Peter and I at our wedding.
You look beautiful, and he's a handsome fella.
Well, I am ready for my evening.
This clip has become infamous on the internet, and with good reason. Peter kicks Jerome out of the house, and although remorseful at first, he quickly becomes content with his actions. That is until Lois calls him out, making him realize the error of his ways. Peter then apologizes to Jerome, and the two cement their friendship. You know, because despite the fact Peter burned his house down, they're still good friends. All seems well, and Jerome has been a real star in this episode.
But listen, there is something. While I was living with you, I had myself lots of nasty
I don't care about that.
Never mind. Can't have anything nice, can we? At level 5, we've got Baby Got Black. Basically the upgraded version of level 4 in the sense that, well, you may catch a hate crime case if you aren't careful with these. As per usual, the guys are at the clam, bored, watching TV.
A local boy dies after playing video games for 51 hours straight. Playing Halo, now he has a Halo.
Inspired by the news, they decide to bet on who can stay up the longest without falling asleep, managing to get 62 hours in before... that happens. They all end up falling asleep, but Peter is last, winning the bet. He uses his winnings to take the family to a restaurant where Chris runs into Pam, a girl from his class and Jerome's daughter. The two quickly hit it off and begin dating, and Pam is introduced to the family with differing reactions.
It's 1998. Peter Griffin does not see color. Now let's go see if your mom's done listing all the black people she's ever seen on television.
Earlier episodes say otherwise, Peter, but I guess Lois is just as bad in this episode. Back at the clam, Jerome tells Peter that he doesn't want Chris to date his daughter because he's white, so Peter invites him and Pam to dinner.
Look, why don't you and Pam come over tomorrow night? You'll see that white people are even better than black people. You know what I mean. They're equal. Separate, but equal.
Peter?
Just equal.
Thin ice, Peter. Thin ice. During dinner, Jerome is quite defensive, but the Griffins try their best to stay on good terms. Even Pam is on their side. And to be fair, the Griffins are actually okay in the scene until Peter jumps into song. A song about why white people are great and why you should thank them. Yeah, that'll win Jerome over. And to no one's surprise, it doesn't. Jerome leaves even angrier than before and forbids Chris from seeing Pam again. The next day, Chris decides to fight to be with Pam and runs away with her, leaving Jerome and Peter to put their differences aside to team up and look for them.
So all those other black drivers that you're nodding at, do you know them?
Hopefully those cops are there to arrest Peter. On the way back to find the kids, Peter learns about some of the hardships that Jerome faces for being black, now understanding his perspective. This message would have been better if it wasn't shoved in at the end after all the racist jokes.
White people have exploited and mistreated blacks for centuries. Not gonna let that happen to Pam.
We've driven 55 miles with the gas light on.
Never mind, it would have been undone regardless. Peter and Jerome make it to the motel the kids are at, and now that Peter has somewhat of an understanding, he tells Chris that he can't date Pam anymore out of respect for Jerome. Fortunately, Jerome has a change of heart and allows the two to stay a couple.
It takes a man with a crazy big hog to admit when he's wrong.
Thanks, Peter.
Has Peter seen it? Or is that yet another assumption? We have almost ascended to the peak now at level 6 with When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. Yeah, so this episode was banned for a reason. You make jokes like this, you ain't going out in public ever again. Ask my uncle. In the beginning of the episode, we see Chris struggling with math homework, but Peter tells him not to worry about it, because math's ain't important. Being the genius he is, Peter is then conned into buying fake insurance by a door-to-door salesman giving away the family's emergency savings. And, in typical fashion, Stewie breaks Meg's glasses, and now they can't afford a new pair. Lois is justifiably angry, but scolding Peter just annoys him.
You better watch who you're calling a child. If I'm a child, then you know what that makes you? And I'll be damned if I'm gonna stand here and be lectured by a pervert.
He's right, you know. At the Clam, Quagmire and Cleveland fix their extra cash thanks to their accountants, giving Peter the idea to get one too. But of course, Peter doesn't want just any accountant.
So you're saying I need a Jewish guy?
Not every Jewish person is good with money.
Not the ones, but why would you even say that?
I forgot how often they used to throw that word around. Back at home, Lois has to ask her parents for money, guilt-tripping Peter into song. The song he sings is a parody of When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio, but it's about wanting a Jewish person. Was it just the time this was made? Or did seriously no one in that writing room have any issue with this? In the morning, just as Peter wished for, a Jewish man named Max Weinstein shows up at the door asking for help. Peter obliges, only in service of himself, and kindly requests Max for something in return.
What do you want? Financial advice?
How the hell did you know I'm an accountant?
Hello, Max Weinstein?
I defend Peter by saying the suit gave it away, but we know that's not true. Despite the stereotypical remarks and assaulting him, Max helps Peter get his money back from the con man and is introduced to the family, even staying for dinner. After eating, well, Max doesn't actually eat anything because, he leaves to go to temple and invites the Griffins for some reason.
Optimus Prime? He's Jewish?
Someone update the wiki! After embarrassing themselves yet again, the family returns home, but Chris is still struggling with his math homework. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that subplot. Max says that he has faith in Chris's future, giving Peter the bright idea of converting him. Lois and Brian turn the idea down, but when has that ever swayed Peter? Peter and Chris apply, but are swiftly turned down, and I don't think they'll ever get the chance again.
If Chris knew how to study, he wouldn't need to become Jewish in the first place, right? Right?
I bet most viewers' faces looked like that guy's during this episode. The two then head to Vegas as a last-ditch effort to get Chris a bar mitzvah, but thanks to their lousy note and Brian's coercion, Lois tracks them down and prevents Chris from finishing the signing. All that because of a couple of assumptions, huh?
In a few minutes, you'll become a smart, successful Jew. You can make a foreskin joke right now, but this is a solemn occasion.
And now the final level. Level 7. Turban Cowboy. I've become just a professional when it comes to this episode. It feels like every other video we talk about this accursed atrocity. So yeah, at this level, your jokes are gonna get you tossed in jail pretty quickly. At least it certainly feels like it. We open on Peter, Joe, and Quagmire sitting in the Clam, bored out of their minds, so they want to do something exciting for once. And Peter proposed skydiving, which the guys agree on, and it's the exact new high they've been looking for, quite literally.
I haven't felt a rush like this since I won that marathon.
I mean, he did technically win. Peter gets addicted to the sensation of the thrill, skydiving everywhere. And I do mean literally everywhere. Everyone's got to fall eventually, though, and Peter ends up in the hospital from another free fall. While recovering, Peter meets a Muslim man named Mahmoud.
You know, I never seen a hat like that, so I'm very scared of it.
This is just a daria.
Despite the awkward introduction, the two quickly become pals. Back at the Clam, Peter introduces his new friend to the guys, but they don't approve of him and are quick to jump to conclusions.
Irish guys drink a lot. Italian guys talk with their hands a lot. Black guys change their shirts while they tell you a story.
Yet Peter is still the one making assumptions and stereotypes. Despite this, Peter is very accepting of Mahmoud's culture, and the two continue to bond. But as time passes, Mahmoud does become more suspicious.
Sweetheart, obedient wife, I get to shout, Admiral Akbar! You, sir, have got yourself a Muslim.
Never mind, they're laying it on real thick here. Convinced by Mahmud, Peter converts to Islam and begins to learn how to become a real Muslim. And by that, I mean more stereotyping. Lois immediately grows tired of Peter's phase and just assumes it'll go away. I give him 20 minutes. Impressed by Peter's devotion, Mahmud introduces him to a small group. Unbeknownst to Peter, it turns out the group have some plans.
Look at him. He's the perfect man to help us blow up the Quahog Bridge.
This one ain't even Peter's fault. Of course, the writers made the first Muslim group he befriends terrorists. Quagmire and Joe quickly catch on to the group's plans due to their earlier suspicions, but Peter doesn't listen. Of course he doesn't.
That's crazy. I'm gonna call Mahmoud right now on this cell phone he gave me. He'll tell you. Damn phone's busted.
Until that happens, Peter comes to his senses and Joe basically makes a disclaimer that Fox isn't trying to spread a bad message about Muslim people. I think the writers realized what they'd done halfway through writing and was trying to be like, okay, look guys, it's jokes, I swear. Frackin' relatable, dap me up, Fox. Ow, did I really just do that? The guys team up, putting Peter undercover and try to stop the group. I could imagine a less capable team. It doesn't take long for Peter to get discovered, causing the group to set their plans in motion right there and then. Peter begins driving a truck full of explosives to the Quahog Bridge, which is where we get this.
Okay, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's a screen cap. Peter manages to stall by talking to Mahmud, and the cops arrive just in time. Good job, Peter. You finally did something. Oh, come on! I mean, when you're being racist, you can't have an episode about Islam without showing something blowing up. And that's all I got for you today, guys. But be sure to check out the video on screen now for some more cartoon chaos. See you next time.